La bienvenida. Alberto Villegas, acá en la ciudad de Medellín, en el ranking mundial. En la paca número 1 y representando a Colombia, Maira Sepulveda. En la paca número 2, representando también a Colombia, Valentina Acosta Giraldo. El juego del partido, Cadín Rodríguez.
Well, here we have it. Time to find out who's going to win the Medellin recurve women's gold medal in this all-Colombian fest of archery here in Colombia. It's Maira Sepulveda on target number 1, up against compatriot Valentina Acosta. It's time for set number 1. Sepulveda starting with an 8. I saw a warm-up routine from Valentina Acosta. She also fires into the 8 ring.
It's an interesting swing of the arm, isn't it? That's part of her habit, I would imagine, her routine mentally, just to get into the shot.
Worked for that time. 3 incredibly quick arrows from Maira Sepulveda. Uh, 26 for Acosta there. Well, if my calculations are right, Acosta has nicked that by a single point. But as you say, Nikki, very unusual process.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably just something that over time she's developed, part of her shot routine. And, you know, archers often have a little habit. You might not always notice it, but it might be something they do each and every arrow to perhaps start that arrow off, start that process of the shot going. So hers is obviously very visible, but you can spot it in others as well.
And what about the speed that Maira Sepulveda shoots? She's very quick from draw to release.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we see that in the Koreans, don't we? Really, really fast shooters. There's no time to think. There's no time for things to go wrong. So it can work really, really well. Want to see that consistency. Does she stick with that through the match?
Well, we're about to find out. It's already time for set number 2.
Moving.
I think it might be a real calming mechanism for her to use this. Before each shot, you kind of shake off any nerves before you start.
A little bit more movement before release then, but I think you're right, Nikki. It does seem to be something that she's doing to almost distract herself. Well, that one is subject to a measure 28. It's the provisional score, which is now out of reach, and we've got another match. Oh, especially with that 6. We've got another match where nerves are definitely playing a part, Nikki. 2 set points each to these athletes. Can you see anything? Are there any tells there that would give you an idea of who's going to remain strong?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to call. They are pretty even going through this match so far, but, you know, people haven't had this experience so much in the recent months. So coming out here on this big stage, it's going to get your heart fluttering, full of adrenaline, and it's who is going to deal with it best. It's really hard to create these conditions in practice, so it's the real test now for them both.
Yeah, it certainly is, and there's plenty of experience here on the line. Maira Sepulveda was a runner-up from the Pan American Championships, and Valentina Acosta is the current under-21 world champion. So no strangers to these kinds of high-pressure conditions. 2 set points apiece, though, as we go into set number 3. Line judge is ready. The range is clear. It's time to see who can eke out a lead in set number 3. Maira Sepulveda of Colombia up against her teammate Valentina Acosta, and it will be Sepulveda to shoot first in this 3rd set. Still super fast with her release. Both finding the middle of the target.
She looked so solid on that first one, didn't she? And just to go out there now wide into the 7, she didn't need that. She got to keep them in the middle. Such a tight match.
Nine or 10 for the set points here for Acosta. She's put it in the 8, so they're all square on points. Unless my maths is completely wrong. Sorry, I apologize. She's got a 27, so Acosta does indeed get the set points for a 25, because of course that's 7. The second shot from Sepulveda. As you said, Nikki, she didn't need that.
Yeah, that just dragged the set down really for her. So, you know, at this level, you've got to try and keep them in the gold as much as you can. And, you know, it's just lost to that set, but all to play for. This is 4-2 in the match.
Yeah, it certainly is all to play for. Look, they both shot really confident first arrows into the 10 ring, and then both drifted off. It was just that Sepulveda hit a 7 and a 9 to a 9 and an 8 from Acosta. So still very little to tell between the two. But it is Acosta with the 4-2 lead as we go into set number 4. The advantage with Acosta, closest to us. Sepulveda shooting first, and we know that she's very quick. There's a quick release from Acosta that time as well. Big opportunity here for Valentina Acosta. Ouch, I think is all we can say about that one. A 10 puts this out of reach. It is a 10. A 27 for Sepulveda. Recovery shot into the 9s. So 25, and it's 4 set points apiece. You can't predict anything here, Nikki, can you?
No, it's swinging both ways at the moment, isn't it? Now 4-all. It's just really interesting. This is what I love about the set system. You know, you don't know who's going to win each end, so it just keeps us on our toes.
Yeah, it really does keep us sometimes. But what's curious to me is that the number of shots that are going out into the sixes, and it just seems to be that it is down to consistency, but that's being affected by nerves.
Yeah, they pair of them do look a little bit nervous, and like we said, we'd expect that to some degree as well. Trying to get these conditions in your own training is really hard. So they're just going to stick to their normal processes, do their normal shot, and you know, hope that it goes as close to the medal as possible.
Yeah, I think that's very much, there is a little bit of hope going on here. Can you call it either way at this stage?
Oh, I wouldn't like to call it, if I'm honest. It's just so tough.
Oh, well, let's get straight back to it and set number 5. Maira Sepulveda to shoot first. Into the 10. So pressure switching over to Valentina Acosta for her first arrow here in the final set. And that has gone into the 8. So big opportunity now.
She looks so calm, doesn't she, on the line? Her facial expression, nice and relaxed. Can she keep this going?
Massive opportunity to put this out of reach. All she needs is an 8. She gets the 9. Falls into the 8 for a third time in this set for a 24. And right on the line, Maira Sepulveda held it until the end for her best 3 arrows. At 28, plays a 24, and she takes the final set points to win it in 5, 6 set points to 4. Maira Sepulveda takes gold here in Medellin in the recurve women's discipline. The archers there fist bumping, as has become the way as we return to competition. Valentina Acosta, the under-21 world champion, collects the silver medal, but it's gold for Maira Sepulveda. Nikki, it was another match that just went to and fro. It was impossible to say, and nerves, I think, really played a part. But in the end, it was a great last 3 arrows from Maira Sepulveda.
Yeah, it really was. Just so up and down. Each archer, you know, have good arrows and not a good arrow in the set, enough to pull them down. But those last 3 arrows from Maira, they just looked so solid. She looked confident facially. You could see everything was falling into place, and she just took that last set and the match.
Yeah, and I know you coach at a very high level, and you're always talking about consistency and sticking to your process. And what we've seen here is another example of someone who's just stayed and remained calm and disciplined and trusted in their process.